The galaxy believed humans were dead. Every species in the Galactic Confederation knew this as truth. 1,000 years ago, the 12 elder races came together and made a choice. They decided that humanity was too dangerous to live, so they burned Earth until nothing remained but ash and silence. They called it the purification, a clean word for a dirty act. Did not think about humans very often. She was a historian aboard the research vessel Eternal Scholar, and her job was to study ancient civilizations, dead civilizations. Humans were just another file in her database, another species that rose and fell like so many others. But something changed on the day of the Millennium celebration. The whole galaxy was celebrating. 1,000 years of peace, they said. 1,000 years since the dangerous humans were removed from existence. Watched the celebrations on her screen and felt nothing. She had work to do. She was organizing old stellar databases when she found the first anomaly. A small thing. A transmission that should not exist. It was encrypted in a way she had never seen before, hidden inside routine navigation data from 1,000 years ago. Almost deleted it, almost. Instead, she ran a decryption program. The computer worked for 6 hours before it finally broke through. What she found made her hands shake. It was a voice, a human voice, a woman speaking words in the old Earth language. "This is captain of the refugee ship Endless Hope. We have escaped the kill zone. Coordinates locked. We are running. If anyone hears this, know that humanity is not dead. We are running to survive. We will remember what was done to us. We will remember everything." Played the recording 17 times. Her heart beat fast in her chest. This was impossible. The Confederation had been very clear. All humans died in the purification. Every ship was destroyed. Every colony was burned. There were no survivors. But this recording said otherwise. She took her findings to the navigation officer who worked in the next section. He was older than her, tired-looking, with the kind of eyes that had seen too much and believed too little. "You found an old recording," he said. "So what? It is probably fake, someone's idea of a joke." "It was encrypted," said. "Hidden. Why would someone hide a fake recording for 1,000 years?" Shrugged. "People do strange things. Humans are dead, everyone knows this. The elder races made sure of it. But what if they did not? What if some escaped?" Laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Then we would know. 1,000 years is a long time. If humans survived, they would have returned by now. They would have made contact. They would have done something." Wanted to argue, but she had no evidence beyond one recording. She returned to her workstation and kept searching. Over the next 3 weeks, she found 12 more hidden transmissions, all from different ships, all carrying the same message. "We are running. We will survive. We will remember." She reported her findings to the ship's captain. The captain reported to the Confederation Council. The council reviewed her evidence and sent back a simple response. Data corruption. No further investigation required. Felt anger rise in her chest. They were not even looking. They did not want to know. The galaxy had decided that humans were dead, and no one wanted to question that decision. Then the first ship disappeared. It was a patrol vessel near the outer rim. One moment it was sending routine reports. The next moment it was gone. No distress signal, no debris, just silence. The Confederation sent 3 ships to investigate. They found nothing. The patrol vessel had simply vanished. But they did find one thing. A single transmission, broadcast on an old frequency that no one had used for 1,000 years. One word, spoken in the ancient Earth language. "Remember." Heard the news and felt ice spread through her body. She knew that word. She had heard it in every hidden recording she found. Remember, remember, remember. She went to that night. His face had changed. The doubt in his eyes had been replaced by something else. Fear. "You heard the transmission," she said. "Everyone heard it," he replied. The whole fleet is talking about nothing else. Do you believe me now?" Was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "I believe that something is out there, something that wants us to remember what was done 1,000 years ago." Humans said, "Maybe, or maybe something worse, something that humans became." Looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there in the dark spaces between galaxies, something was watching, something was waiting, and after 1,000 years of silence, it had finally decided to speak. The galaxy had celebrated the death of humanity for 1,000 years. Now thought the celebration might be ending. Something was coming, and the galaxy was not ready. In her quarters that night played the first recording again. The voice of Captain, dead for 1,000 years, filled the small room. "We will remember what was done to us. We will remember everything." Closed her eyes and listened to the voice of the dead. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly afraid. The silence of Earth was breaking, and what came after silence she knew was sound. The sound of footsteps returning, the sound of humanity rising from its grave. The sound of remembering. Fear spread through the galaxy like fire through dry grass. In the weeks after the first ship vanished, 7 more followed, patrol vessels, trading ships, a military cruiser with 300 soldiers aboard, all gone, all silent. No wreckage, no bodies, no explanation. Admiral watched the reports come in from his command center on the Confederation capital world. He was old now, his body tired and his bones aching, but his mind was sharp and his memories were sharper. He remembered the war, the real war 1,000 years ago. He remembered what humans could do when they were angry, what they could do when they were afraid. The young officers around him talked about pirates, equipment failures, strange space phenomena. They made up explanations because they could not accept the truth. Knew better. He had been there when the Confederation burned Earth. He had watched the planet die from the bridge of his ship. And he had seen the refugee vessels escape through the wormholes. The Confederation said they destroyed all the fleeing ships. They lied. Knew this because he was the one who let some of them go. A moment of weakness, a moment of guilt. He watched 3 ships disappear into the unknown and said nothing. For 1,000 years he told himself it did not matter. The ships probably died in transit. The humans probably starved in empty space. But now, watching more Confederation vessels vanish into nothing, he began to understand the truth. They survived, they grew strong, and now they were coming back. Far from the capital, on a border outpost at the edge of known space, a young soldier named woke up screaming. The dreams had started 3 weeks ago. Every night the same images, cities burning, people running, children crying in the vacuum of space, and through it all, a voice repeating the same words over and over. "We remember, we remember, we remember." Told no one about the dreams. She was afraid they would think she was going crazy. But she was not the only one. Other soldiers in her unit whispered about strange visions, strange feelings, a sense that something was watching them from the dark. Then the colony worlds went dark. 3 planets in 1 week. Millions of people suddenly silent. The Confederation sent investigation teams. What they found changed everything. The populations were alive, all of them, but they were different. They walked through their cities with empty eyes and spoke in voices that did not sound like their own. When asked what happened, they all said the same thing. The returning ones came, they showed us the truth, they showed us what was done. Now we remember. And were reassigned to a classified task force the next day. 12 specialists from across the fleet, brought together to study the incidents and find answers. They gathered in a secure room on a military station and shared what they knew. It was not much. "We are dealing with some kind of psychological weapon," said one scientist. "The affected populations show no physical damage, but their minds have been altered. They have memories that do not belong to them, memories of fire, Memories of death, human memories. That is impossible, said another. Humans have been dead for 1,000 years. Then explain what is happening. No one could. Pulled aside after the meeting. His face was pale, his eyes wide with fear. I have been running calculations, he said. The pattern of disappearances, the locations of the affected colonies, they form a line, a direct path from the outer rim toward the core worlds. Something is moving toward us, said. Not something, someone, they are coming home. That night, Admiral called a private meeting with his most trusted staff, 3 officers who had served with him for decades. He closed the door, turned off all recording devices, and spoke the truth he had hidden for 1,000 years. We did not kill them all, he said. We could not, some escaped, and now they are returning. His officers stared at him in shock. How do you know this? One asked. Because I let them go. I watched 3 refugee ships enter a wormhole and I did nothing to stop them. I told myself they would die in the void. I was wrong. Why did you not report this? Closed his eyes. Old memories flooded back. The screaming of human children as their ships were destroyed. The pleading of human leaders as their world burned. The look in their eyes as they realized no one was coming to help them. Because I was tired of killing, he said. Because I looked at what we were doing and I felt sick. We were not fighting a war. We were committing a genocide, and I could not be part of it anymore. His officers were silent. Then one spoke, her voice barely a whisper. What do we do now? Opened his eyes. In them was the weight of 1,000 years of guilt. We pray, he said. We pray that humanity learned mercy in their exile, because if they learned only anger, then nothing in this galaxy will survive what is coming. The next morning, deep space sensors detected something impossible. Massive energy signatures, larger than anything the Confederation had ever built, emerging from a region of space called the Dead Zone, the place where Earth used to be. Was on duty when the alert came through. She watched her screen as the signatures grew larger, clearer, ships, thousands of them, an armada beyond imagining. And then the broadcast began. It came on every frequency, every channel, every screen in the galaxy. A woman's voice, cold and clear, speaking words that would change everything. This is Commander of the Human Reclamation Fleet. 1,000 years ago, you tried to erase us from existence. You burned our world. You killed our children. You thought we were dead. You were wrong. Humanity remembers. Humanity returns. Humanity forgives nothing. Listened to the message and felt tears run down her face. The dream suddenly made sense. The voice in her head had been real all along. The humans were back, and they had not come for peace. They had come for justice. The first battle lasted 6 hours. The Confederation sent 400 ships to stop the human advance. Their best weapons, their strongest soldiers, their most experienced commanders. None of it mattered. Commander watched from the bridge of her flagship as the enemy fleet burned. Human weapons tore through Confederation shields like paper. Human ships moved in ways that seemed impossible, appearing and disappearing, striking from angles that should not exist. When it was over, 387 Confederation ships were destroyed. The humans lost 12. Felt nothing as she watched the wreckage drift through space. She had been trained for this moment since birth. Her mother had fought in the Exodus. Her grandmother had died on Earth. Every generation of her family had carried the same burden, the same memory, the same purpose. Return, remember, revenge. Commander said, her second in command. We are receiving surrender signals from 17 vessels. Ignore them. Commander, they are surrendering. The rules of war say. The rules of war turned to face him. Her eyes were cold, empty of mercy. Did they follow the rules of war when they burned our children alive? Did they follow the rules when they hunted our refugee ships? There are no rules anymore. There is only justice. said nothing. He was loyal, but he was also troubled. He believed in humanity's cause, but he was not sure he believed in endless killing. Far from the battlefield, and were prisoners. Their research station had been captured in the first wave of human attacks. No one was killed. The humans simply walked through the station, disabling weapons and gathering prisoners with calm efficiency. Expected torture. Death. Instead, she was brought to a small room and left alone. Hours later, a human entered, a young man with tired eyes and gentle hands. He sat across from her and placed a data device on the table. "My name is," he said, "I'm a historian like you." Did not trust him. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand. I want you to see what was done to us. Then you can make your own judgment." He activated the device. Images filled the air around them. Videos, recordings, documents, the true history of humanity's fall. Watched in horror. She saw the Confederation Council vote for extinction. She saw the military fleets gather around Earth. She saw the bombing begin. Cities turned to ash in seconds. Oceans boiled. Mountains crumbled. 8 billion people died in the first hour. Then came the hunting. Human ships tried to flee. Refugee vessels carrying families, children, the sick and the old. The Confederation hunted them one by one, watched soldiers laugh as they destroyed ships full of screaming innocents. She watched commanders give orders to leave no survivors. And she watched 3 ships escape through a wormhole, chased by nothing but luck and desperation. Those 3 ships carried 40,000 people, said. They emerged in a distant galaxy, far from any known space, a hostile place, full of radiation and dead worlds. Most people thought we would die there. "But you did not," whispered. "No, we survived, we built, we grew stronger. The galaxy that was supposed to kill us became our forge. Every hardship made us tougher. Every generation remembered what was taken from us. We evolved, we became something new." Showed her what humanity had become. Cybernetic enhancements that made their bodies nearly indestructible. Genetic modifications that allowed them to survive in any environment. Psychic abilities that let them share memories, share pain, share purpose. "We are connected now," said. "Every human carries the memory of Earth. Every human feels the death of our ancestors. We cannot forget even if we wanted to. The trauma is part of us." His eyes were wet with tears. "I did not know. None of us knew the truth." "Your leaders knew. They hid the records. They created a clean story about dangerous humans who needed to be stopped. They made themselves heroes and made us monsters." In another part of the ship was having his own awakening. A human pilot showed him the weapons that had destroyed the Confederation fleet. Technology 1,000 years more advanced. Ships that could bend space itself. Weapons that could crack planets in half. "We had 1,000 years to prepare," the pilot said. 1,000 years to build. 1,000 years to hate. This fleet is the result." "Why are you showing me this?" asked. "Because we want witnesses. We want the galaxy to know why this is happening. We are not monsters. We are survivors. And we are going to make sure no one ever forgets what was done to us." On the surface of a captured world, made her choice. She had been given the same history lesson as. She had seen the truth about her own species, about the genocide they committed and covered up. Unlike some of her fellow soldiers, she could not pretend it did not matter. "I want to join you," she said to the human commander who questioned her. "Why?" "Because my people did something evil, and I cannot stand with them anymore." The commander studied her for a long moment, then she nodded. "You will carry human memories now. You will feel what we feel. It will hurt. It will never stop hurting. Are you ready for that?" Thought about the dreams she had been having, the burning cities, the crying children. She was already carrying those memories. She had been carrying them since the day the humans returned. "Yes," she said, "I am ready." Commander received reports of the new recruits with cold indifference. Non-humans joining their cause meant nothing to her. They could help, but they could not understand. They had not lost their world. They had not spent 1,000 years dreaming of revenge. Tried again to counsel mercy. Commander, if we kill everyone who surrenders, we become what they were. We become. His response was ice. They killed 11 billion of us. 11 billion. We could kill 1 trillion of them and the scales would not be balanced. Do not speak to me of mercy. Mercy is for those who showed mercy. These creatures showed us nothing but fire. The human fleet moved deeper into Confederation space. World after world fell before them. Some surrendered, some fought. The result was always the same. Humanity had returned, and they were unstoppable. But deep in the heart of the fleet, in quiet conversations and private moments, some humans began to question. They had dreamed of this moment for 1,000 years. They had trained for vengeance, lived for vengeance, breathed vengeance with every breath. Now that vengeance was here, some of them wondered, was it enough? Would it ever be enough? Or would they keep killing until there was nothing left but themselves and their memories? Knew the answer. He just did not know how to make Commander see it. The war continued. The killing continued. And somewhere in the void, the ghost of Earth watched its children return to the stars. Whether they would return as saviors or destroyers remained to be seen. The Confederation fell apart faster than anyone expected. 3 of the 12 elder species surrendered in the first month. They offered reparations. They offered war criminals. They offered anything the humans wanted if only the killing would stop. Commander accepted their surrender. She took their leaders to trial. She broadcast the executions across the galaxy. It was justice, she told herself. Justice for 11 billion dead. 4 other species refused to surrender. They formed a desperate alliance, gathering every ship and weapon they had. They called themselves the Final Resistance. They vowed to fight until the last soldier fell. The remaining 5 species collapsed into civil war. Old grievances exploded. Species blamed each other for starting the genocide, for hiding the truth, for bringing humanity's wrath upon them all. Worlds that had been allies for centuries became enemies overnight. Watched the chaos from the human ship that had become her prison and her classroom. Continued to visit her, bringing more records, more truth, more pain. Your galaxy is destroying itself, she said one day. Nodded, yes, that was part of the plan. We did not need to conquer everyone. We just needed to break the lies that held them together. Once the truth came out, the rest was inevitable. And then what? You kill everyone who remains. Was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was tired. I do not know anymore. I thought I knew. I grew up believing in vengeance. But now that I see it happening, I am not sure it is enough. I am not sure it will ever be enough. On the flagship, Commander faced her own doubts. The killing had been satisfying at first. Every destroyed ship felt like justice. Every executed war criminal felt like a wound being healed. But the wounds never closed. The anger never faded. No matter how many enemies she killed, the memories of Earth remained. Her mother's voice, her grandmother's stories, the shared trauma of every human connected through their psychic bond. It never stopped. It would never stop. Came to her quarters one night. His face was troubled, his eyes full of something she did not want to name. The resistance is preparing a final stand, he said. They have gathered around there, 3 million soldiers, 10,000 ships. They know they cannot win, but they will fight anyway. Then we destroy them, said. We could, but their planet has 2 billion civilians. If we bomb the military installations, millions of innocents will die. Their ancestors did not worry about our innocence. No, they did not, but we are not them. We are supposed to be better. Turned away from him. Through the window she could see the stars. Somewhere among them was the empty space where Earth used to be, her home, her heritage, gone forever. Better, she repeated. What does that word even mean? We spent 1,000 years becoming stronger, faster, smarter, but better. I do not know if we are better, I only know that we survived. Surviving is not enough, said. We need to live, and we cannot live if we become the monsters they always said we were. Admiral requested a meeting 3 days before the final battle. He was dying now, his old body finally giving up after centuries of guilt and regret. The humans could have refused him. Instead, they brought him to their flagship. Commander met him in a bare room with no decorations. Just 2 chairs and a table. 2 enemies facing each other across 1,000 years of pain. Looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. I was there, he said. When we burned your world, I was a young officer then. I followed orders because I was afraid to refuse. I watched your planet die and I did nothing to stop it. His hands trembled with rage. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to understand something, and because I have something to give you. He placed a small data chip on the table. This contains the names, he said. Every human who died in the purification. 11.2 billion names. I recovered them from classified archives. I have kept them hidden for 1,000 years, waiting for someone who deserved to have them. Stared at the chip, her throat tightened, her eyes burned. You kept our names, she whispered. It was the only thing I could do, the only way I could hold onto my conscience. I knew this day would come. I knew humanity would return. I wanted you to have this so you would know that someone remembered. Someone on this side of the war remembered that you were people, not monsters, not a threat, just people. Picked up the chip. Her hands were shaking. She thought of her mother, who died believing her name would be forgotten. Her grandmother, who burned with earth. All the generations before her who suffered and died in exile. They had names. All of them had names, and now those names were in her hands. For the first time in years, she cried. Watched her tears fall. He felt something loosen in his chest, something that had been tight for 1,000 years. I am sorry, he said. I know those words mean nothing. I know nothing can undo what was done, but I am sorry for everything. Looked at him through her tears. She saw an old man, broken by guilt, waiting for death. She saw an enemy who had carried her people's names when no one else would. She did not forgive him, she could not forgive him, but she understood him. Thank you, she said, for the names. Nodded, he had nothing left to say. He had done what he came to do. 2 days later, he died in his quarters. The humans gave him a burial in space, the same way they buried their own dead. It was more than he deserved, but ordered it anyway. Came to her that night, the young soldier who had defected, the alien who carried human memories. She had been fighting alongside humanity for months now, and she had earned a measure of respect. Commander, she said, may I speak freely? Nodded. If you bomb that planet, you will kill millions of people who had nothing to do with the genocide. Children who were born long after Earth burned. Families who never held a weapon. Is that justice? Is that what humanity survived for? Did not answer. You came back unstoppable, continued. Everyone knows that. You proved that humanity cannot be destroyed, but now you have a choice. You can be remembered as conquerors who killed without mercy, or you can be remembered as survivors who broke the cycle. What do you want your legacy to be? Thought about the data chip in her pocket. 11.2 billion names. Every human who died in the purification. If she killed millions of innocents now, would she be honoring them? Or would she be betraying everything they represented? She looked at an alien with human tears in her eyes, a bridge between species, a sign that not everyone wanted war. I will think about it, said. It was not a promise, but it was a start. The next morning, she ordered the fleet to halt at the edge of the enemy system. The final resistance waited beyond, ready to die. Had a decision to make, and for the first time in her life, she was not sure what the right choice was. Vengeance had brought her this far. but vengeance alone could not show her the way forward. For that, she needed something else. She needed hope. The broadcast began at dawn. Commander stood on the bridge of her flagship, facing every camera, every screen, every speaker in the galaxy. Behind her, the human fleet waited in silence. Before her, the final resistance prepared to die. She held the data chip in her hand, 11.2 billion names. "My name is," she said. "I am the daughter of, the granddaughter of, I carry the memories of everyone who died on Earth, and today I am going to speak their names." She began. The first name was Minu. He was 3 years old when he died. He liked to chase birds in the park outside his home. The second name was, she was 97 years old. She had 12 and a garden full of roses. The third name was, he was a doctor who stayed behind to help patients escape. He never made it off the planet. Name after name after name spoke them all, farmers and teachers, soldiers and artists, mothers and fathers and children and friends, every life that was taken, every story that was cut short. The broadcast continued for 37 hours. No one moved. Across the galaxy, billions of beings stopped what they were doing and listened. They heard the names of the dead. They heard the weight of what was done. When spoke the last name, her voice was raw and broken, but she was not finished. 11.2 billion people, she said. That is what you took from us. That is what we have carried for 1,000 years. We came back with weapons that could destroy your worlds. We came back with anger that could burn your stars. We came back unstoppable. She paused. The galaxy held its breath. But today I am making a different choice. Revenge would be easy. We could kill you all and feel nothing. Your ancestors taught us how to feel nothing. But if we do that, we become what you feared. We prove that humanity deserved to die, and I will not give you that victory. She turned to face the final resistance fleet on her screens. We will not attack civilians. We will not bomb we will not become. Instead, we offer terms. The terms were simple but firm. All war criminals from every species would face trial. Humanity would reclaim the solar system where Earth once existed. Protected human territories would be established across the galaxy, safe from interference. The old confederation was dissolved. A new council of equals would take its place, where every species had a voice. And most importantly, the truth would never be hidden again. Every generation would learn what happened. Every school would teach the history of Earth. The galaxy would remember, not because humans forced them, but because memory was the only way to prevent the same mistakes. The final resistance surrendered within 6 hours. The war was over. Months passed, then years. The galaxy slowly healed. Became the first non-human ambassador to New Earth. She walked on the surface of the rebuilt planet and saw what humanity had created from ashes. Cities that floated above restored oceans. Forests planted in soil that had been dead for a millennium. Children playing in parks, learning history alongside hope. Stayed with the human fleet. He became a teacher on Mars, showing young students the stars and telling them stories of what the galaxy used to be. He never returned to his own species. He could not forgive what they had done. Worked as a bridge between worlds. She helped build understanding between humans and aliens, using the memories she carried to show others the weight of shared trauma. She was neither human nor fully her original species anymore. She was something new, something needed. Took command of humanity's military after step down. He kept the fleet strong, but he also kept it peaceful. Defense, not conquest. Protection, not revenge. The humans were still unstoppable, but now they chose not to fight. And herself found a different path. She went to Earth on the anniversary of the purification. The planet was still mostly empty, still healing from 1,000 years of death. But in one small valley, a restoration team had managed to bring back life. Planted a tree there, A cherry tree like the ones that used to bloom in her grandmother's stories. It was small and fragile, barely taller than her knee, but it was alive, and it would grow. She visited that tree every year. She watched it grow taller, stronger. Its branches spread wide and its blossoms filled the air with sweetness every spring. 50 years after the war ended, a child visited at her home near the tree. A young girl with curious eyes and endless questions. "Why did you stop?" the girl asked. "You could have destroyed them all. Why did you let them live?" Smiled. She was old now, her body worn by time and memory. But her eyes were peaceful in a way they had never been before. "Because revenge is not enough," she said. "Revenge is fire. It burns hot and bright, but it leaves nothing behind. I did not want humanity to survive as fire. I wanted us to survive as something more." "Like what?" Looked at the cherry tree. Its branches were full of blossoms. Birds sang in its leaves. Life continued despite everything. "Like this tree," she said. "We were cut down, burned, nearly destroyed, but we came back. Not just with weapons and anger, but with the ability to grow again, to create again, to choose again. That is what makes us human, not our strength, not our technology, our choice." The girl thought about this for a long time. "Do you think they understand now?" she asked. "The ones who hurt us." "Some do, some never will, but we cannot control what others understand. We can only control what we do, and we chose to be better than what was done to us. That is our victory, not the battles we won, not the enemies we defeated, the choice we made when we could have chosen differently." The girl nodded slowly. She would carry these words with her for the rest of her life. That night sat under her cherry tree and watched the stars. Somewhere among them, life continued. Billions of beings living their lives, raising their families, building their futures. A galaxy that had been broken and was slowly putting itself back together. Humanity had fallen once. They had risen unstoppable, but their greatest strength was never their weapons or their anger. It was knowing when to stop. The ghost of Earth had finally found peace. And in the silence of space, where a blue planet once spun, new life was beginning. Humanity remembered everything. The pain, the loss, the anger, the revenge. But they also remembered something more important. They remembered how to hope. And that, in the end, was what made them truly unstoppable.